Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Chicago Sports Podcast. We are the monsters of the madhouse and the monsters of hump day. I've got my boys with me, Kyle and Darius. How we doing on this midweek edition?
Doing good, man.
Feeling good, feeling great, man.
It's amazing. We're going to get into a lot of stuff today. We're going to break down some Bears injuries. All of a sudden, we got a lot of them to break down and talk about. We're going to get into what's going on with the coach running the headset on the sideline, and then we'll get into our predictions about the Bears battle in the desert this Sunday. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, we got a very important 25th anniversary coming up from a legend among us. God rest his soul, Walter Payton. His anniversary of his death is coming up on November 1st. He died in 1999. And in honor of that, Taste of Hope brings award-winning chefs and Chicago foodies together to celebrate the American Cancer Society's progress in the fight against cancer. Taste of Hope will feature 35 Chicagoland's best restaurants, including wineries and cocktail stations. Now in its 11th year, the event is hosted annually by the American Cancer Society's Taste of Hope Executive Leadership Board Committee and has raised over $4.3 million to support American Cancer Society's mission and goal of eliminating cancer as a major health problem, preventing 3.8 cancer deaths since 1991. What can we all do? They're calling us to action. Come support the mission by filling your plates, and you can buy your tickets at chicagotasteofhope.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great cause. I lost my father 4 years ago to cancer. I support cancer research in every way, which way I can. And this is an absolutely fantastic organization, an absolutely fantastic event. We will remind you guys of this one more time before we get out of here today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some of these Bears injuries, and they are starting to pile up, boys. We have, unfortunately, now all of a sudden, 𝐿 Amedaji has a right calf injury. I believe that's the calf he came into the NFL with, that he was having a problem. He's unlikely to be available. So the Chicago Bears did sign offensive lineman Austin Pleasance to the practice squad today. In a corresponding move, Chicago released long snapper Jack McQuaid from its practice squad. This was reported by Brad Biggs from the Chicago Tribune. And this all happened because we lost Bill Murray, who did step in for us seamlessly in week number 5, allowing 0 pressures, no quarterback hits, no sacks, and helping the Bears in that victory against the Carolina Panthers. Also should be noted that Kyler Gordon with his hamstring and Jaquan Brisker were DNPs today at the walkthrough. I think we're going to have to wait until Thursday to figure out a little bit more about that injury. Or their injuries, and then, of course, defensive end Montez Sweat, the Tez effect, had a monster game for us against the the Commanders. He was did not practice today, but they're hopeful he'll play on Sunday. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. Let's get into it, boys. All these injuries are starting to mount up for the Chicago Bears, man. Our depth's about to be tested. Ryan Poles' acquisitions of depths are about to be tested. What are we taking away from this? Take it away, guys. Darius, what you got? What's on your mind, brother?
Incredibly unfortunate, man. You know, you hear injuries all around the NFL, man, but it kind of hits different when it's your team. You know what I mean? And we have injuries at a spot that's already thin at offensive line. It's time for those guys to get on the phone or hit the waiver wire, see what we can pick up and put down.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate situation, but I believe the guys up top get the job done.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, back to the old cliche statement, like Jerry said last week, guys, it's next man up mentality. You have to, every team in the NFL right now is dealing with injuries. And you know what, to be honest with you guys, in all fairness, the Bears have not been super plagued by injuries this year. I mean, it's so far this point of the season, they don't have any major, Nico Collins is an IR and Stephon Diggs tears his ACL. I mean, that's getting tough for these guys to find people to throw to. Like the Bears, most of these injuries are 1-2 week injuries. I'm still confused as to how Jaquan Brisker, this concussion has kept him out so long. That's concerning to me in particular. The good news is that they did say that Tevin Jenkins and Ryan Bates would have been limited in practice today. We all know that today they did not have a practice. They had a walkthrough. I'm going to guess it was a team meeting more than a walkthrough, but ultimately the Bears are going to have to find somebody to step up and play that position. I mean, it's unfortunate for the Bears. They lose Braxton Jones and their immediate backup. He's out now. He's going to be out on Sunday. That's just the way the NFL rolls, right? It's a dangerous game. It's a violent game. And at some point you have to fight through these injuries. It's just happening to the Bears right now in Week 9.
Yeah, and I do believe the windows were open for Bates and Borum, so hopefully they will be activated going into this week. I know Larry Borum's been a little questionable here for the Chicago Bears in the past. We haven't had a chance to see Ryan Bates on the roster yet play any professional football. We saw him a little bit in the preseason, but God knows right now we need some people to step up on this offensive line, or 18 is going to be running for his life like he has been. He did in the nation's capital last week. So, I don't know where to go with this, man. If the more players we lose, the tougher it is to maintain, your structure and the cohesiveness that you've gained with your starters. So, for me, obviously the offensive line is very important, but as we speculated on when Kyler Gordon crawled off the field and looks like he was in immense pain, that might be a little bit longer. I'm still encouraged that they haven't put him on IR yet, but I hope that doesn't come, because that guy was an absolute monster, an absolute beast for the Bears. So this is a big time for us right now, boys. Anything else you guys want to touch on about these injuries?
As unfortunate as it is when it comes down to Kyler Gordon, we kind of, hey, man, he's kind of hurt every year, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right? I think we have a capable backup in Blackwell. The depth in the secondary, you know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm all right with it. You just hate for starters or key guys in this defense to be out. But with the Kyler Gordon situation, it's kind of normal. Let's hope he gets back as soon as possible. And with the Jaquan Brisker thing, we have to kind of monitor him a lot closer than anyone else, because he's had a high number of concussions in the past. So, we just got to be careful, man.
Hey, want to give a quick shout out to Trax. We got Trax in the house, Paris, Keith. Thank you guys for joining us. We got breaking news, Bruce in the house. Thank you guys. Bruce! Thank you guys so much, man, because without you, we're just talking to ourselves. So we really appreciate you getting out. You know who else appreciates you guys coming out? Our friends at Bridges Scoreboard. It's your Northwest Indiana Chicago sports headquarters with the Hall of Fame menu, the coldest beer in Chicagoland. And guess what? Trax will be out there this Sunday for a Chicago Bears party with Jim Miller, and I believe he's going to be stepping out with former Chicago Bears left tackle, my favorite left tackle in Chicago Bears history, James Big Cat Williams. So get out there on Sunday. Go check it out. Our friends at Bridges Scoreboard, I'm sure they love to have you out, and the Bears are going to try and bounce back. So as we flip to our next segment, and actually, I want to touch on what you said, Darius. I agree with you 100%. With Josh Blackwell, he's been playing really well. My one question is about the secondary is when they signed Jonathan Owens, I thought he was going to be an integral part, especially if there was injuries. He seemed to evaporate into thin air, and you don't see him unless it's on a special teams play. He was starting for that team up north last year, so that's a little mind-boggling. What do you think about that, Kyle? Just to touch on that really quick.
It is surprising. Obviously, Jonathan Owens was brought here specifically because of his skill set on special teams. He's a very good special teams player, but he was definitely no scrub at the safety position. I don't think he's a starter in the NFL. I think he's exactly what he should be. He's a backup. But every other position on the Bears, it seems like once they sustain an injury, or even if somebody's not playing well, there's this constant rotation. And then you have a guy who's been a starter in the NFL and is a proven good backup, and you have an injury at the position and he's not playing. It's very strange to me. It's odd, but I also agree with Darius. If you're hearing of any injuries in the Bears right now, the secondary is where you'd probably want them. Not that you would want any, but that'd be the best case scenario for the Bears, because they are very deep in the secondary. It seems like Ryan Poles, the first thing he did the second he got to Chicago was add secondary. And right now, they might be the deepest unit in the NFL. The problem for the Bears on Sunday is going to be that offensive line. It was bad. It wasn't good to begin with. It's a very below average offensive line. And that you've already started shuffling guys around. You already benched Nate Davis as a starter. And now you're talking about multiple injuries to the left tackle position. It's starting to get very interesting for the Chicago Bears offensive line.
Yes, this is going to be a very interesting situation on Sunday because we're facing a similar makeup that we faced last week against the Commanders. Especially on the offensive side. But defensively, their scheme is going to be pretty much the same. It's a copycat league, man. So all the coordinators and all these film guys have to do is get film that looks like it's going to stifle this offense, and they're going to come in with the same attitude. I hope we're prepared this time.
Yeah, and the Cardinals are a better team at home than they're on the road. Now, I will say, the Bears defense continues to keep these teams under 21 points. And if they continue to do that, they ultimately should win football games. And the Arizona Cardinals defense is not as good as the Washington Commanders. The Bears should take advantage of this defense. I think they're ranked like 27th against the rush and like 24th against the pass. It's not good. Ultimately, it's near the bottom of the NFL. So if Kim Williams is the guy we think he is, and his progression is coming the way they want it to come, he should score some touchdowns in this game. As long as you keep the Cardinals to 16, 17, 18 points like you've been doing. And it's not like the Cardinals are lighting the world on fire on offense right now. Actually, guys, statistically, the Cardinals are almost behind every single one of their opponents in almost every single statistical category. I'm talking about first downs, third down conversion, touchdowns, points. I mean, the Cardinals are a bottom half team. They're one of the worst 4-4 teams in the NFL right now for me personally. Now, that being said, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison, and Kyler Murray are very dangerous players, but the Cardinals are a year behind, guys. If this is for right now, they're like in a kind of a retool. They're waiting for Marvin Harrison to catch up to NFL speed. This is a team you should beat.
I agree with you, but to piggyback off of what you said, yeah, the numbers say one thing, but once you get out there on the field, you have to respect what you see.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I think the Cardinals may be a little further ahead than us on offense because they have a veteran QB. They also have weapons on the outside as well as we do. They also have a very good tight end. Offensive line. I think they're ahead of us in that department too. If you're asking me,
everybody's.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, really, not to say that we're chopped liver or anything like that, but we have to treat the Cardinals like they're a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. And whatever happens after that happens. But we have to come in this thing respecting Arizona like they're the number 1 team in the division.
Yeah, you should respect every team every Sunday.
To touch, I just wanted to get back to what Keith said here. The next game is make it or break it for the Bears. And Kyle, we kind of just talked about this just a little bit. I want to say what's going on to J2K. Thanks for joining us, brother. Hope you're having a good evening too. I want to get back to what has happened last week that leads us into this week just a little bit. And the Bears road woes will continue, hopefully not continue, I should say, excuse me. But the Bears have lost. The Bears' last road win was December 26th of 2001, a 25-24 victory at Seattle. Since then, they've lost 18 consecutive road games on Sundays. So a little bit more troubling stat, even though they are 4-4, Eberflus is only 2-13 against teams with winning records. I understand that it was a rebuild, but we had some expectations coming into this year to not have these mistakes. And I am going to question Matt Eberflus as a leader because last Sunday wasn't the first time we saw this. We saw this against Denver. We saw this against Detroit. We saw this against Cleveland. Now, not only that, he has had 5 leads with under 3 minutes to go in a game. He's lost all 5 of those games and gave up a touchdown in every one. This is preparedness. This is readiness. It's mind-boggling mistakes. It's bad decisions. It's everything that you have that goes in the bubble. You throw in your team captains, Cole Kmet, Kevin Byard, Jalen Johnson, DJ Moore, all coming out against this coach. Bad decisions. We don't practice. In practice, we don't fix our mistakes. We just keep practicing. These are the things that are bringing this organization down. And one of the reasons why myself did not want Matt Eberflus back under the helm with drafting Caleb Williams. Boys, I want you to touch on this a little bit. Go ahead, Kyle. You want to take it away first? We'll let Darius follow you up. Where are you at? Just before we turn the page over to Arizona, let's talk about what happened from Monday to Tuesday, and especially today, where they decided to have their second team leadership meeting.
Well, I mean, Sean, ultimately it is what it is. I mean, this is not going to change. The Bears do not fire coaches in season. They're probably not going to fire Matt Eberflus in season. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Bears retain him for his last year of his contract, because that's what just seems what they do with head coaches. I mean, for me personally, I do not think Matt Eberflus is good enough to bring this team to a Super Bowl. I think if anything, he's kind of holding the team back. He's limiting their ceiling.
Yes.
This is no longer a small sample. So people could say, oh, rebuild, all that rebuild, terrible teams, terrible rosters. Matt Eberflus has been in the NFL for 3 years. He doesn't win close games. He's now given up 4 leads in which he had a 90% chance to win or better. 2 of them, I think it was like 98% chance to win. He's not good.
96, 2 98s, a 96, and a 90.
Yeah, he's not good in the clutch. This is the guy. This is who he is. I don't think he's a very good head coach. I think he would be a very, very good defense. He would in the defense coordinator in the NFL. He already was. I think he's only gotten better in that aspect. But ultimately, he's not a good leader of men, if you ask me. I mean, there's no excuses for what Tyreek Stevenson did on Sunday. You can't. I mean, the fact that we haven't heard about the discipline out of this game already, like maybe he's sitting out the first half this week or suspended without pay for any, just anything at all. I mean, listen, I like Tyreek Stevenson. I'm not trying to make this like a let's bash on him. I think he's ultimately going to be a very good player in the NFL, but this is how you got to squash this stuff early. I mean, these guys have to get their head out of their ass. That was the last play of the game. The Bears were up. They just had this monumental game-winning drive, something we've been waiting to see Caleb Williams do since he got drafted to the Chicago Bears. He does it. He does everything they ask. He has this methodical drive. They walk down the field. They score. They get the 2-point conversion, put them up by field goal. And then they get all lackadaisical on defense and the most important play of the game with 0 seconds on the clock. It's like, guys, you just shut this team down. You kept them out of the end zone for the last 3 quarters and 90% of the fourth quarter. And then you're going to give up on the very last play. This is what they looked like. They were confused. They looked like they didn't know what the play call was. They didn't know what the game plan was in that situation. And Matt Eberflus had 2 timeouts. I just at this point, there's just no excuse to not using one of them. It doesn't make sense. You can't take them with you guys. They don't go over with you to next Sunday in Arizona. The timeouts are gone. Like there's no point to not calling one of those timeouts. And then you could even have called one of those timeouts, let the Commanders come out, see what offense they're in, and then call a timeout again and adjust. But he didn't do it. He decided not to do any of that and ultimately bit the Bears in the ass. I'll tell you this right now, guys. In the last few years, Matt Eberflus is solely responsible for more than a handful of losses for the Chicago
Bears. And just to touch on the timeout part really quick, if you watch that aerial view, you saw the Bears huddle. The defensive players had their arms up in the air. You saw Eberflus yelling at Jalen Johnson. You had Tyreek Stevenson with his back to the play. There's so much to dissect. I still can't to this moment understand why there wasn't a timeout called. What's your thoughts there, Darius?
Hey, man, listen, first of all, Kyle, that was amazing. That was amazing where you got all that out of there. But listen, I'm going to push back a little bit. Okay. Regardless of who the coaches have been here in Chicago, the Bears have been terrible after a bye on the road. That's kind of been a thing, okay? Eberflus has lost a lot of games that they should have won. They had a 98, 95, 97% win rate, at a particular time of the game. But he had some help losing those games. Let's be real.
Oh, for sure.
He had help losing those games. And listen, I'm not here to make excuses for the guy, but I just understand where we at with him. We understand what the problems are with what the issues are with him. He had a bad Sunday, Get him being fired in the middle of the season for being a third-year coach, not handling things the way, us armchair quarterbacks feel like he should. You know what I mean? It's what I'm saying. I don't think it's necessarily fireable offense in season. The Washington thing, it ended terribly. Us as Bears fans, we were all disgusted. Hell, I know I was.
It was tough, man. It was tough.
Commanders.
I do it too.
Yeah, the refusal to run the football throughout that game. He had help in that game, losing that game as well. Even though we came back in the fourth quarter, it was a lot of, the blame was enough to spread around. But him being the coach, he should take the brunt of the blame. He took a very arrogant approach when they talked to him about it at the end. Hey man, listen, I'm not mad at the arrogance. I just need you to be prepared and do better next week. And
at some point he needs to take accountability. I mean, coming out and saying,
exactly.
coming out the arrogance to say, that play before the Hail Mary, that doesn't matter. That play
Correct.
doesn't matter. I mean,
Right.
like, there's not a coach in the NFL that would make that statement. It's insane.
I get that. You're 1,000% correct. But see, I'm not necessarily into what he tells us, the public. I'm interested in what he tells his team. You know, because he don't owe us anything. Honestly, he don't owe us anything. What he owes it to those guys in the locker room who he disappointed. You know, because ultimately they're going to be hurt more than we are.
Okay, to your point, Darius, let me ask you this question. When you have Jalen Johnson on the score 670, which he was on Monday, and he comes out and he's sitting there in his interview, and I was going to
get to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we're in practice. We make mistakes. We don't go and correct our mistakes. We just keep practicing. I don't understand that either. What is practice for? To get better at what you're not good at. Isn't that the definition of practice?
True enough. But I refuse to believe that because this defense plays too well. This defense plays too well for them not to be correct.
The offensive side of the ball.
True enough. Okay. Listen, the offensive side of the ball has its inconsistencies. Like, let's not go crazy. Let's not get it messed up. They have their inconsistencies. And it is on Eberflus because he hears every call. You know, the handoff to a reserve lineman, terrible. Like, that's something. I don't care if we were up 20 points. You know what I mean? That's not the call. You know, the call is listen, keep it simple. You can't go wrong with that, especially in the critical times of the game. You know, Washington has made every running back they face look like the second coming of Emmitt Smith, Jim Brown, and Walter Payton. All right? Like, what's wrong? What's the issue? I don't know what the issue was with running Swift on a consistent basis, or bringing Roschon in on a reserve basis to come in and do his thing. I don't understand. But maybe he just wanted to show Caleb off to his home city or whatever. But style points that ain't what we're trying to do now.
Well, for me too, one of the biggest problems with Eberflus is he's signing off on all this stuff. He signed off on that handoff. He's signing off.
That's what I'm saying.
He signed off on Cole Kmet getting his first target with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
It's a lot of inexcusable things, right?
Yes.
Like I said, he had a bad Sunday. He had a bad Sunday. And see, the thing about the captains coming out to the media, I could respect it because they came to him first.
Okay.
You know, that's why I feel like he hasn't lost the team because he was addressed first before they made it public. And for me, that goes a long way for me because if you're going to address him first, that shows that you still have respect for him.
Do you think personally, Darius, and Kyle, you can answer after him. Do you think personally that he should be stepping up and disciplining Tyrique Stevenson? Because Tyrique's really talented, and I love Tyrique Stevenson, and I didn't take anything away from him. But he's made these mistakes last year in his rookie year. I mean, the poking the guy in the through the face mask, getting caught. I mean, he makes a lot of boneheaded mistakes.
Yeah.
Accountability and discipline has to come from the front office. Do you think that he should be disciplined for these actions at all?
I do, but I can't tell you how to do it. I can make my suggestion. Send him out a quarter, send him out a half. Listen, man, this is not amateur athletics, man. You know, you have to hit a guy where it really hurts. You got to tap those pockets. Yep. You know what I mean? You got to tap those pockets. And if he's going to be consistent with the BS, the trade deadline is approaching.
Yep.
What you want to do?
Yeah.
Like, that's what real coaches do.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have no problem. I don't care how talented a guy is. Listen, bro, we can't have you with the emotional bonehead BS. You know what I mean? So listen, if he can't get it together, if he can't handle his aggression, he can go play somewhere else.
And I like what the ghost of Judah tribe said here. Tyrique Stevenson's fine. He's aggressive, and that's what Flus wants. I think Flus does want that. There's a thin
line between aggressive and being a dumbass.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
I was just going to
shout out to the ghost of Judah tribe. Listen, I feel you, and I'm with you. But listen, this has become a repetitive thing. But I'm not sitting here saying, hey, sit a guy out a quarter, sit a guy out a half. And it does mean that Eberflus has more security with him out on the field. True enough. I think it works better for the whole team with him out on the field.
I agree.
But at the same time, I just don't think that resonates to the pro game. You know, if you're gonna see the guy out a quarter or half, you might as well tell him stay home. Don't even take the trip. You know, and if you're gonna tell him that, hey, might as well see what you can get for him.
Yeah, I mean, well, real quick, just on Matt Eberflus before we move on to this Arizona game. But for me personally, and, you know, and Darius, I agree with a lot of the stuff you said. I ultimately, especially when you said, I am not judging Matt Eberflus solely on Sunday. I mean, it was a bad game, like you said. People,
I agree with
that happens all the time, man. I mean, you know, you guys, we're not the first team that has seen a Hail Mary like that. It bounces off a hand and ends up in somebody's hands behind a pile. That happens all the time. You know, obviously no team runs it perfectly. But I will say this about Matt Eberflus. Ultimately, I just don't trust Matt Eberflus in close games because he's never proven that I should. I mean, this has been 3 years now, guys. He's not good in the clutch. I do not trust Matt Eberflus when it comes to disciplining his team because they're one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. And then, like we just talked about, Tyreek Stevenson has had multiple personal foul penalties, but, you know, just unnecessary roughness, stupid stuff that doesn't need to happen, stuff where he's clearly putting himself before the team. He's letting his pride get the best of him. And then lastly, man, I mean, it still remains to be seen maybe in 2024, but I mean, this guy cannot beat the Packers. And to me, if you're a Bears fan, that should be the most concerning of everything. I mean, at some point, if the Bears are going to flip the script here and get rid of this losing culture and instill a winning culture, at some point you have to beat your rival football team. For the Chicago Bears, that's the Green Bay Packers. They have to go this season or next season. I think if Matt Eberflus goes 2-0-2 against the Packers this season, he's fired.
Yeah,
I think
I agree with you. Listen, because if he's going 0-2 against the Packers, that means we're not going to win no more 6 or 7 games.
No, I mean, if you can't beat the teams in your division, then what's the point? I mean, ultimately, the teams in your division are the most important because before you even think about getting the first seed in the NFC or second seed in the playoffs, you got to think about winning the division. That's what's most important. That's what the goal that's the closest in front of them right now, the one that can almost reach out and touch. And right now, Matt Eberflus has done nothing to prove to me he's capable of doing that. I just don't think he is. And another thing I'll say about Matt Eberflus is, I don't think he's the worst coach in the world, guys. I really don't, because obviously these guys are still playing for him. His defense is very good. They perform every single week in, week out, every single Sunday. We've talked about this many times. They still haven't allowed 21 points in like the last 15, 16 games or something like that. But ultimately, you guys, as a sports organization that demands billions and billions of dollars from their demographic and their fan base, ultimately, you know, with how much time and effort and money people put into watching these games and being Bears fans or fans of the sport, if you can improve it all, like even if you think Matt Eberflus is good, but there's a coach that's great, then you take that improvement all day. Like, I don't think the Cubs hated David Ross. I don't think they thought he was the worst manager in the world. They just thought that Craig Counsell was better. That's all. They were like, hey, sorry, man, this is a business. We love you, man. You're a really nice guy, David Ross. What you've done for this organization is great, but we think that ultimately Craig Counsell gives us a better chance to win. So they made that move. I think the Bears are more than capable of doing that as well. Matt Eberflus certainly is not one of the best coaches in the NFL, and I don't think he's in the top 3 in his division. I think he's the last place in his division of all the coaches in the NFC North, and you should fix that. You should change that.
But my question is, who is that guy?
I mean, for me, we could talk about that for days. For me personally, guys, right now, I don't see how you can steer away from Ben Johnson. Ultimately, everybody in the NFL has talked about how intelligent and bright and innovative he is. He's a very young mind. He's probably has the toughest offense in the NFL to predict and or beat or stop right now. I mean, the Detroit Lions are absolutely killing everybody, and he's got play calling experience at this point. So, I mean, unless you interview him and you decide that you're like, there's no way this guy can lead 53 personalities in a locker room. There's no way. He's too timid or he's too passive aggressive, something like that. Then move on. But right now, everything I've read, saw, what my eye test, read about Ben Johnson, and he's a very, very smart guy, and eventually he's going to be a very good coach for a team at some point in the NFL. I hope it's the Chicago Bears.
And he may be, but I heard the same thing about Canellis last year. And how's that working out for him?
Don't give up on Dave Canellis yet. Dave Canellis is going to be just fine. It's not his fault he inherited a 5'4" midget at quarterback.
Hey man, listen. I heard these offensive minds can develop guys.
Hey Darius, Canellis' offense looked a lot better when the Red Rifle was back there, didn't it? That's all I'm saying.
Except when he played us and when he played Commander.
Yeah.
Hey,
they didn't look that good.
Well, I just want to say one more thing. I do agree with what you said a little bit ago, Kyle, about Eberflus not being the worst coach in the world, because I definitely do think I do think he has turned things around. I just think he's made a lot of poor management decisions in games, poor use of his timeouts, awful challenges, and to us in the national media, or just us as fans, we have not seen any accountability. I've seen a lot of passing the buck, and if the Bears don't make the playoffs, I will say this: it's not a talent problem, because this roster is really talented. I said it on Monday, and I'll say it again. I think this coaching staff is severely limiting this team's top potential in which they can reach. Hopefully I'm wrong, but it's only getting harder from here. The Bears have a hard schedule left in the NFL.
Sean, I would challenge you to point something out to me that you think Matt Eberflus is above average or excels at, besides allowing the opponents points per game. I mean, it's not like the Bears. They are the definition of bend don't break. I mean, they allowed 400 yards of offense to corners last week. They just don't break. They don't allow you in the end zone, which Matt Eberflus has been doing great since he's been
really good.
And I usually don't like those defenses, but it's working out for the Bears. But besides that, you talk about in-game decisions. You talk about timeout, clock management, challenging, what discipline, like getting rid of penalties. Give me something that you're like beating your division rivals, winning football games in the clutch when there's 30 seconds left in the game and you got to score. Give me something he's good at. Give me something. I'm not saying this to like I got you. I'm saying this like I will listen to you. If you got something to tell me, I'll listen. Like, oh, maybe he is good at that. I didn't think about that. I can't think of anything else. I can't think of anything else.
Hey, Kyle, when the season was over, the first thing I said to you was the Bears should fire Eberflus. Especially if we're gonna draft Caleb Williams, because we're gonna go right around this vicious circle where he isn't gonna work out. Now we got to find a new guy. We'll probably have to get a new offensive system, and now we're Jay Cutler all over again. Hopefully not, and maybe it's just a switch next year. But if this don't get better fast, I'll tell you this: if they don't beat Arizona in Arizona, he should be fired on Monday. And that's all I gotta say. He shouldn't even get on the plane.
Hey, check it out, man. Check it out. I think, at the beginning of the season, I think some of us were saying, we need to temper expectations, because I think that's what's got us all getting ready to like jump out in the middle of traffic, right? Look, we have to see how these guys come out here this week. We have to, right? Now, Eberflus is a third-year coach, and I think what would aid him more than anything is just to completely relinquish, these defensive responsibilities to the guy you hired to be your defensive coordinator. Because I think that's where some of these fumbles of decision making is approaching. It's happening. I think that's the reason why. Again, not to give a guy an excuse, but hell, it was all good just a week ago. Just a week ago, we were 4-2. People was going around saying that we were going to win win these 3 games in a row, which would have made the total up to 9 straight, counting last year, and everybody just had these expectations. And so the way this Washington game ended kind of crashed down on everything. I agree. He hasn't been the best in certain situations. But I think he's still learning on the job, and I think the fact that he's trying to do double duty is kind of stunting his growth. Now, is he one of the elite? No. At least not yet. But hey, man, this is what we got.
Yeah. One thing you cannot have.
We will find out if he's lost his team the way, it all depends on the way these guys come out next week or Sunday.
Yeah. What you cannot have the players thinking that they have the skill set, the talent, the roster, and the potential to win these games, but they're being held back by their coaching staff. Like, you can't have the players coming out after Sunday's game against the Commanders and saying, that's a game we would have won if we didn't hand the ball off to Doug Kramer. You can't have, once you have that stuff, the team will start to fall apart slowly but surely. It's going to happen. It happens every single time. Look at Nathaniel Hackett in Denver. I mean, that just blew up. Matt Eberflus eventually is going to, sooner or later, now that all this stuff has come out and the players are calling him out and all the media is talking about it, Now you're going to get the McCaskies and Ryan Poles are going to start to get a fine eye and keep a fine eye on his decision making. And ultimately, if he just continues to do the things he's doing, he's going to be fired.
But
I do think the players, I do think the players have to take some accountability.
100%. Yeah, it's a team sport. Everybody needs to take responsibility.
Hey man, nobody told Tyrese Stevenson to get beat 60 yards down the field. Yeah. No one told him to poke this guy in the eye. You know what I mean? Nobody told him to be over there in the corner celebrate with Bears fans while the most important play of the game is about to happen. Nobody told him that. You know, like I said Monday.
At the same time, though, he's standing on the sideline. That's game recognition. If your defender has his back to the field, call a timeout. You had 3.
Again, bad Sunday. That was terrible. Because, again, you can't take them with you. You just can't take them with you. But these players, like I said Monday, is enough blame to go around this whole thing.
100%.
But being that Eberflus is a coach, he has to eat it. Because if they the one, would nobody be putting Eberflus on their damn shoulders saying he was the next damn Bill Belichick or Lombardi. You know what I mean? Nobody's doing that.
Darius, I'm going to stay consistent with you, and Kyle can back me up on this because on the 4-Star Sports Podcast, Brandon asked me when they were 4-2 going into the bye if I was changed my mind and sold on Eberflus, and my answer was absolutely not. Until he gets through this division, and I can see that he is as good a coach as the coaches in this division, I am not sold on this guy. And you know what? He's not doing anything to prove me wrong at this moment. So,
and if we want to look further in this division, right? Honestly, guys, okay, Detroit is doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But is anybody in our division scaring us, bro? And they're not scaring me, man. I'm watching these games. I'm watching them play. I'm watching these guys play similar opponents, and they're struggling. They're in damn near shootouts. You know what I mean? So, listen, and I said, like I told y'all about the Vikings are playing a style of defense that's not sustainable. You know, you go into that blitzing all the time. The good quarterbacks, the smart OCs, gonna figure you out. And that's gonna help the rest of the league figure you out.
Then I guess we're in trouble.
Well, not really. Because one thing we have that those other guys don't is a consistent defense that's sustainable.
Yeah, I agree with that. You
know, listen, if y'all scared of Green Bay and Minnesota and even Detroit, man, come on, man.
I'll tell you, I'm a little bit worried about Detroit.
I'm not.
I'm a little bit worried about Detroit.
They don't have a good defense, man. Their best defense is out for the season.
Hey, and to Keith asked earlier when he said he threw up there that he would Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick second. I agree with that, and Clint Kubiak, and I believe Liam Cohen would be on the short list as well for me.
Listen, man, I don't care, you know, if they're defensive or offensive, special team. The first thing that got to happen, we got to have a true leader of men. It don't matter if he used to coach the field goal kicker, bro. If you're a leader of man, you can be successful in the NFL. What you have to do what this leader of man has to do is surround himself with the things that he's not strong with.
Yep.
You know, he has to align himself with a great coordinator.
Yeah.
You know, we see all these great coordinators get jobs every year. They don't pan out. Look now. Look at Sean McVay. Look at him.
Hey, he's turning it around. I mean,
look at Shanahan. Look at him. Like, look at Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look at the Dolphins coach. Look at him. He's an offensive minds, bro.
If you had a chance, and I'm just going to ask this question: if you had a chance to say, "Hey, I'll trade you," hypothetically speaking, obviously, Eberflus for McVay right now, you're doing that in less than before that it can even get out of your mouth. Kyle?
Oh, any of the guys that Darius just mentioned, I would take over Matt Eberflus.
Besides Doug Peterson.
I would take Shanahan, McVay, and McDaniels for sure.
I just think we're at a time we got a super young team, man. And in order for us to really learn how to win, we're going to have to let a few go. We got a young team. We got a young coach as far as tenure, and we have a first-year coordinator trying to figure out what he got to work with. I mean, of course, he has a tremendous amount of talent, but he's not used to coaching no guys like this. This guy came from DK Metcalf,
Rocket. I mean, he had some players.
Yeah, like he has some guys, but these guys are different from those guys. And even with the running game, he's doing a lot of cute shit that I don't appreciate at the wrong time.
I agree.
Like, seriously, he's doing a lot of cute shit that I don't appreciate, but, I guess that's his way of trying to figure what he can get away with and what can't. But he just does this shit in critical times. It just really, blows my mind.
You know what, boys? You know what they serve a lot in Arizona because it's constantly hot?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. There you go. But when you're done at Bridges Scoreboard, hop across the street and step into Serendipity Ice Cream Parlor today and discover the delicious summertime taste. Like they're serving up ice cream heaven. It's right across the street from Bridges Scoreboard. Sorry, I lost my thought there. In Griffith, Indiana, 120 Griffith Boulevard. Get out there, check them out, and then stop at the store and pick up Chris Chelios's El Bandito Yankee Tequila. It's an experience like no other. Boys, we're headed on to Arizona. We got to turn the page. We got to hopefully think this coaching staff's going to learn from their mistakes like players learn from their mistakes. So let's take it into Arizona. And I didn't spend a whole lot of time breaking this game down. I got into a little bit just try to figure out how Arizona, because they're so putrid in their rankings, how they're actually winning football games. But I will tell you this, man, the Bears better dot their I's and cross their T's, because they started off 1-3. They're 3-1 in their last 4 games. And on top of that, 3 of those 4 games have been by less than 2 points, and they've won all 3. So this team knows how to play those tight games, so you can't have any more mental lapses by your coaching staff that will cost you a game. I want to ask you boys, what are your keys going into this football game? Give me, Darius, give me your 3 keys to victory and follow them up, Kyle.
Arizona is the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde of football, right? What we're going to see in Arizona is the same thing we seen last week. The same formula that we needed to do last week, we need to do this week. Number 1, run the football a lot. Work your offense off the run, okay? Pick your spots. Listen, we down a couple of offensive linemen. You're not going to be able to hold the ball, do all that. Let's get the quick game going. We had a little of that last week. He didn't really hit a lot of them, but listen, that's as far as passing, that's what we need. But running the ball, man, running the ball is key. On defense, stay disciplined, tackle.
Yeah.
We gotta get strong in the run game. Washington set a tone last week with Robinson on that first drive. They ran it down our damn throat. And Arizona's gonna come in and try to do the same thing with Cardinal because he's just as physical. He's big, he's fast, and they're gonna try to do the same thing. But run the football, run game discipline. As far as a defensive run game discipline, and tackling.
What you got, Kyle? What are your 3 keys to the Bears winning in the desert?
Well, I mean, to play off what Jerry just said, I'd like to see the Bears run the ball early and often and establish a run game and then open it up for the pass. So, run the ball and be balanced because, like last week, the Bears have looked great for the last 2 weeks going to that Commanders game. And then last week, I think Rome Odunze had 2 catches. Keenan Allen had 0. DJ Moore had 2. I mean, that's not acceptable. You got to get the ball in your playmakers' hands. I'd like to see them start to try to open up things for Rome Odunze a little bit more, because ultimately he should be getting the worst corner on the secondary for the opposing team, considering that they have to keep an eye on DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. It's time to see Rome Odunze become that number 9 pick. So yeah, balance would be the first key to success for me. The second would be make sure you do not let Kyler Murray run all over you. I mean, if you can keep Kyler Murray in the pocket, he tends to make mistakes. You got to keep him in the pocket. If he can get out of the pocket, Kyler Murray can tear you to pieces, man. He can tear you to pieces. You have to keep Kyler Murray in the pocket. So keep a spy in there. And like Darius said, this is a very similar game to what the Bears just played. It's you got Kyler Murray and Jane Daniels. Both are good passers who also can run the ball. You've got their number one receiver in Terry McLaurin. There's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. And then second best weapon for the Commanders is Zach Ertz, and the second best weapon for the Cardinals is Trey McBride, their tight end. So it's a very similar game that the Bears just played. And ultimately, lastly, the Bears just have to you have to take care of the ball, man. I mean, you can't put the ball in bad situation. You cannot hand the ball off to a backup offensive lineman at the 1 yard line. You can't make Caleb Williams drop back and throw 52 times. You can't. Ultimately, if you continue to put the ball in harm's way, eventually somebody's going to take it. I mean, the Bears have been really good at taking care of the ball these last 3 weeks. They need to continue that, and they have to keep the ball out of harm's way. I think the guys, if the Bears, this is not the same team as the Commanders. The Commanders have a better defense than the Cardinals. The Cardinals are ranked almost dead last in rush yards per game, almost 5 yards per carry allowed, and they're not good against the pass either. I mean, as long as the Bears can keep the Cardinals under that 21 points that they've kept everybody else under for the last 20 games, the Bears should win this game because you should be able to score points on the Cardinals. I wouldn't be surprised at all, guys, if this game looks a lot like the Arizona Cardinals and Los Angeles Chargers game a couple weeks ago, where it's just slow going, not a ton of huge plays, not a ton of offense. Ultimately, the winning team is going to win by four or less points. I think this game could look very similar to that, but I hope the Bears go on top because ultimately, if you look at them on paper, excluding the offensive line woes and the injuries that are going on right now, they are the better team on the Arizona Cardinals. There's no doubt about it.
Agreed.
Hey, definitely everybody hit that like and subscribe button because without you guys, we're just three bozos talking sports. And I will tell you this. I like what Keith has said here, and God, I hope this doesn't happen. But without Brisker and Gordon, I just want to touch on this, and I'll give you guys my three keys. I want to see, how do you guys feel? Do you think McBride, without Gordon and Brisker, could put up these kind of numbers against the Bears defense?
No, 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. No, I think McBride's going to have a good game. I said this on the 4 Stars Sports podcast. You guys, I think Trey McBride's going to have a good game. But you know what? I think it's like Darius said, if the Bears can shut down James Conner and Trey Benson, and then in turn for doing that, shutting down the run, committing to stopping the run, Trey McBride goes out there and has 110 yards, much like Evan Ingram did in the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Chicago Bears. Mm-hmm. If they're like, hey, make Trey McBride beat us, who doesn't have one touchdown this season, I think the Bears will be okay with that. Let Trey McBride get his 7 catches for 110 yards, hold James Conner to 40 yards rushing, and you'll beat this team. You're going to beat this team for sure, no doubt about it. But the Bears have started off the last couple of weeks where the run game, their defense looks very leaky. The first 2 drives of the game look very leaky, and all of a sudden they kind of pull their head out of their ass and start to commit stopping the run. Just come out and do that immediately. Another thing that would be nice to see in this game is not only get the ball in DeAndre Swift's hands early and often, like Darius just talked about, but if Caleb really is that much more comfortable in the hurry-up offense or this muddle huddle, whatever you guys want to call it, then it's time to start running that more often. Maybe even on the first couple of drives of the game. I don't know, because you guys, the Bears have been a good team in the red zone this year. They're scoring almost 30 points a game at home. Go look at the Bears offense. If you look at them in the NFL ranks, they're actually not that bad. But for some reason, in the first quarter, they just can't seem to score points. That's got to change. If you're going to be a team, if you're going to be a good team, you got to be a good team for all 4 quarters, guys.
The Bears, and I just touch on that. And Darius, then take it away. The Bears averaged 1.47 points in the first quarter, which is dead last in the NFL. They're second at 9. I think it was 9.30 in the fourth quarter, which is second in the NFL in scoring points.
Yeah, so, which is usually the opposite, right? Like the first 14 games of the play are first 14 plays of the game are scripted. Those are scripted plays.
You want to know something though? Because I own Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison in the only league that I'm winning in this year, for the love of Christ. They start off very slow too. They don't come out of the gates firing in all cylinders.
I think these are they're more similar than you think they are. Like if you think about the Cardinals with Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, and the Bears, Caleb Williams is more of a passer, doesn't like running. They're more similar than you think. These teams are more similar than you think. It should be a good game, but ultimately I think the Bears offense is too much for that Cardinals defense. And the Bears defense is going to stop everybody, even really good offenses. And I think this offense is good. I don't think they're great.
Yeah. This is a this Tampa 2 cover 2 situation. It's a bend and don't break type of thing. We tend to give up a lot of yards, throughout the game. But when we get to that red zone, man, it's tough to get in there, with us. As far as McBride having a good game, I expect him to. He's a good player, and good tight ends are going to get their money because the way they beat this cover 2 situations down the middle.
Yeah. Underneath and in the middle of the field.
Yeah, so
the Bears are the most susceptible.
If we they're gonna keep everything in front of us, just let's not get beat deep like we did last week. That one time, and twice. Shit. But
I don't know if they'd say they got beat.
Let's not get beat deep and read our keys. Everybody handles their responsibility. We don't need no one trying to be a hero, because that's how things get jacked up on defense. Somebody trying to do more than what their job entails, and that's always a disaster, especially in this cover 2 defense.
Sean, let's hear your 3 keys to the game, man.
For me, it's going to be I kind of put 2 together here, but you got to get. I'm touching off both of you guys. DeAndre Swift early, often get that guy in the game because he's the straw that stirs the drink. You get him going, it opens up the entire offense. Get that guy going. Second thing, stay disciplined. The Arizona Cardinals are the second least penalized team in the league. We all know about the Chicago Bears. Do not give these guys free yards. Third thing, special teams. Stay locked in. People don't realize this. They average almost 70 yards in returns per game. It's almost tops in the NFL. Stay disciplined. Don't give these guys short fields to work. Mm-hmm. Own your game here. Get it together. Come with a solid game plan. I think the Bears can win this game if they get DeAndre Swift early. Use the middle of the field because I think it's Ravens, Chiefs, Cardinals are the worst 3 teams, and I think the Packers are next against tight ends. They can't cover Cole Kmet. Get Kmet in this game. Get Swift in this game. Bears should be able to win this, and I agree with you, Kyle. I think this could be like the Chargers game, that 17-15 final, a real ugly, like rock fight type game, because the Bears just don't score on the road. Like, they just don't score on the road. I don't get it.
Sean, real quick, just for the audience here, the Bears at home are 4-0. On the road, they're 1-3. At home, they've scored 15 touchdowns and cumulatively have scored 119 points. On the road, they've scored 5 touchdowns and have scored 44 points total. At home, they average 30 points per game. On the road, their offense averages 14.7 points per game. At home, their opponents average 15 points per game. On the road, their opponents average 20 points per game. I mean, that's another thing we were talking about, Matt. This is a different team. The Bears are a different team on the road and at home. It's 2 totally different teams. They need to break that streak. They need to start playing well wherever they play. And you know what? I think part of that is Caleb Williams just more comfortable at home because he's a rookie and he's still trying to catch up to the NFL speed and the traveling schedule and so on and so forth. I think ultimately he will start playing like he is capable of playing every single game anywhere they're playing. It doesn't matter. But these home and road splits are concerning for Bears fans.
I think Shane Waldron is struggling for that same thing, man. I think Shane Waldron gets the yips, you know what I'm saying, when it comes down to these road games, man, because honestly, we've been in every game, guys.
Yeah.
Like, when, you know what I'm saying, the losses, we've been in every last one of them. And most importantly, it comes down to play calling on offense. The fumble, the play call to the lineman on the goal line was bad. But in other games, the read out the option on the goal line, like, come on,
against
man.
Indy.
Yeah, and then
Darius, how about as recent as do you remember the play in the Commanders game where I think it was 3rd or 4th and 1, and they threw a lateral route to DJ Moore.
I was getting there.
I mean, that play is absolutely pathetic, man. What a terrible play call, man.
He loves it, bro. And he did the same thing with Cole Kmet one time. I'm like, yo, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, he's done it to Gerald Everett. That's you guys. If you need 1 yard, go forward. Don't go sideways or backward. Go forward. You need 1 yard. And you know what? If you don't think if you don't trust your team, whether it's passing or running, I don't care. You don't trust them to pick up 1 yard, then you might as well resign because you have the worst team in football. Every other team in football is more than capable of pushing their quarterback 4 inches to get a first down. The Chicago Bears are handing it off to Doug Kramer. Come on, guys. This is it's not rocket science. You got to be that cute. Just go get the first down. It's football. Make a football play.
Man,
Was
that
I
guy
alone?
loves it. That guy loves a fashion show, man.
Was
Jesus.
I alone when they brought in Kramer on the yard line and you saw Roshan backed up behind him? I was hanging out with my buddy Scott. I looked at him like, oh, here comes the touchdown.
Yeah, you thought it was Doug Kramer opening up a hole for Roshan Johnson. I think the whole world thought that.
I just don't understand. You've seen it work. Why don't you use it?
It's 4 for 4. They're 4 for 4 with that play call, scoring touchdowns. 4 for 4.
It was 0
100%.
time to get cute, man.
Yeah.
0 time to get cute.
But
DJ Moore coming out and saying, "Hey, man, we practiced that in practice, but I never thought it would be used at that play in this sort of a game." Like,
I didn't even agree with them saying that they worked on it. Like, don't tell everybody that. You know what I'm saying?
My favorite was homeboy, the announcer, like, oh, they're trying to bring back the 85 William Perry play. I'm like, no, William Perry was a big athletic individual who wouldn't have fumbled the ball and would have probably scored a touchdown.
And the Bears did it when they were up by 35 points, and they did it for show.
Go.
And
that's true.
This was a tight game. The Bears needed this win. The Bears once again snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Again, I mean, it's starting to become a pattern, guys. You want to see them switch the script and instill a winning culture, but they're still, every once in a while, they're still the Chicago Bears. One thing I will say about this game, I mean, this is an opponent that's built for the Bears to beat. I mean, the Bears are not good on third down this season on offense. The Cardinals are absolutely horrendous on third down on defense. They've given up over 50%. I think their opponents are like 50 for 96 on third down conversions. So over 50% on third down conversions. This is a game the Bears, I know that I say this against I've said this for probably the last 5 weeks now, but on paper, you look at these rosters, especially the Bears defense, which is the best unit of all 5 or 6 units in this game.
Yeah.
The Bears should win this game, and if they coached the game right, and the players pull their heads out of their asses and stop getting stupid penalties, the Bears are going to go out there and beat the Cardinals. If they don't, and you see penalties like Sean, you said, negative plays, pre-snap penalties, unnecessary roughness, sticking your fingers in people's face masks, not paying attention to the game. If they do that shit, guess what, guys? This is a close enough matchup that they're going to lose.
And I was going to say, another thing is the Cardinals are 8th in the league at third down conversions at 41%.
Yeah, their offense is good at third downs too.
And the Bears are near the bottom. I think they're 25th, 26th, 27th, somewhere near the bottom at like only 30% converting on third downs. So you got to get up. You got to get off the field too. I mean, you don't want to leave Marvin Harrison Jr. and you don't want the little dachshund of the desert to get loose on the edge. Because if he does, he's going to be gone. I mean, we saw San Francisco. That kid can scoot.
He can go. He can go. He can definitely go.
And speaking of that William Perry play, that play took away a touchdown from a legend among us, Walter Payton, who will be celebrating the 25th year of his passing on November 1st. That leads us into the Taste of Hope, which brings award-winning chefs and Chicago foods together to celebrate the American Cancer Society progress in the fight against cancer. Taste of Hope will feature 35 of Chicagoland's best restaurants, including wineries and cocktail stations. Now in its 11th year, the event is hosted annually by the American Cancer Society's Taste of Hope Executive Leadership Committee and has raised $4.3 million to support the American Cancer Society's mission and goal of eliminating cancer as a major health problem in America, preventing 3.8 million cancer deaths since 1991. What would they like? They're calling out to us for support in their mission in filling your plates. You can buy your tickets for this wonderful event at chicagotasteofhope.com. Check it out. It's an amazing, amazing event that I will definitely be contributing to because, as I said earlier, my father passed away from cancer, and anything I can do to help another loved one survive this terrible disease, I would be more than happy to support. So, guys, check it out. Taste of Hope Chicago. We got Wally P, a legend among us. His anniversary's coming up really, really soon. And boys, as we move on, do you guys want to maybe talk about some fantasy plays, or you guys want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's just give our score predictions and let's get.
Oh yeah, I forgot about score predictions.
Let everybody go to bed here, man.
We'll get into some underdogfantasy.com here in a minute. Go ahead. Who wants to go first? Who wants to drop it?
Be my guest, man.
Hey, man, listen. The more we do these score predictions, the more I hate them, man. Because anytime I expect us to go out here and kick ass, we just end up flat. Okay, here we go. I really do think we should score 30 on these guys if we play the right way. I really do. But I won't say it, so I'm gonna go I'm gonna go 27-14.
27-14. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, guys, I think there's a very strong chance this becomes a close game, but I just don't like putting it there because the Bears aren't good in close games. I don't want them to lose. So, for me personally, I think for the Bears to win this game and win it without any stress for us on Sunday, I think the Bears ultimately win this game 24-16. If they play the way they're capable of playing and they stay out of their own way, I think they're capable of winning this game 24-16. I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are going to score more than 20 points, guys. If 20 other teams couldn't do it that we've played for the last season and a half, I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are going to do it for me personally.
I'm going to stick with the trend. I'm going to put my faith in this staff. They're going to be prepared after the debacle in the nation's capital. I think it's going to be a tight, low-scoring game, very similar to that Chargers game as we touched on. I'm going to take, for betting purposes, the under, and I'm going to take the Chicago Bears 19 and the Arizona Cardinals 16. I just don't until the Bears can honestly show me that they can score on the road. I'm just, until they just get their head out of their ass, I'm just going to keep the scores low. For me,
keep it safe, right?
Yeah, and we got the ghost of Judah tribe here. He thinks if Tyson Bagent starts, it's 24-13 Bears. But if Caleb starts, it's 17-24 Cardinals. What do we think about that, boys?
It's just crazy to me because, I've read about a lot about Tyson Bagent. I never thought that his name online would be the ghost of Judah tribe. That's a weird name for him to pick.
Everyone loves the backup, man.
Until they play.
That's got to be Tyson. That guy is Tyson Bagent because nobody loves Tyson Bagent that much unless he's just trolling, man. I mean, that Tyson.
I think these guys gonna come out this week with a lot of fire up under them, both sides of the ball. I don't want to jinx them because it looks like that's what I've been doing lately as far as on the offensive end. So I'm not gonna say they're gonna blow up the scoreboard, but
Sure.
This is like if this is a sense of urgency, like all the fans feel, most of the fan base feels. I think the guys should come out there and play like it.
Well,
I'll tell you what, the players should know just as well as the fans do, and so the analytics. 4-4 is a lot different than 5-3 in the NFL, man. That's a lot different. If the Bears want a chance of making the playoffs, if they think they are a good team, you hear these players say it all the time after practice or after the game and interviews, we are capable of beating anybody. Well, if that's true, then you better come out here and beat the Arizona Cardinals because they're not a great football team. They're not.
How many games do you guys see them winning this season? I couldn't remember.
I'm going to stick to my original prediction of 10-7. Yeah, 10-7 is my original prediction. I'm not going to change it until either the wheels fall off or Caleb Williams becomes the best player in the world and the Bears win out. I mean, either way, unless one of those things happen, right now, I think the Bears will finish 10-7, like I said from day one.
It's been 10-11 for me too.
Yeah, I had him at 10, and I'm a little bit more nervous. I mean, this offensive line. I mean, if it comes out that we have any extended period loss on this offensive line, I'm going to be really concerned because Washington blitzed 51% of the time. Flores is going to dial up 70% because he did it last year to Justin Fields. He's going to do it again this year. That's going to be a major problem for us. And I know that
unless you get DeAndre Swift involved early and take the pressure off the offensive line, you have to take pressure off that offensive line.
The hurry up is going to kill the blitz in action. He can do it on first down, like if they have to huddle up and things of that nature. But I'm gonna always say this: we have a better thrower, a natural thrower of the football, a better processor of passing or whatever. I don't think he'll be able to do to us what he did to Justin Fields.
Well, I'll tell you this too, man. And as you say that, Darius, I love the fact that even after 56 minutes of bad football, that Caleb was able to compartmentalize all of that and put together a couple of winning drives. This honestly, for me, is one of the biggest differences between him and Justin. When Justin was bad, it just snowballed and never got better.
Yeah.
Him to be able to to like compartmentalize all of everything that happened in that game and come back and play quality football and put your team in a position to win, that gives me a lot of hope, Judah Tribe, because I'm telling you, Bustin Fields wasn't doing that, and Tyson Bagent wouldn't do it either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm. You guys ready? You want to shout out to the sponsor? Shout out to the.
Oh yeah,
listeners.
Mr. Underdog Fantasy. Friends, get in the action and get the money and get into the mega fun of a lifetime with the world's #1 fantasy sports app, Underdog Fantasy. Get 5 picks right, and the mega bank is yours by 20 times. Place your entry today at underdogfantasy.com. I got 3 fantasy leagues on there. I think Darius is on there doing the overs and unders. I know Trax is on there doing overs and unders. It's a lot of fun. It's just some weekly stuff to blow some money, because you already know they already got that pegged.
And hey, look, Sunday mornings. I don't know how much we helped guys last week, but Trax, Q, and I are going to do an early morning show talking about fantasy football and your parlays. Check us out.
Yeah, I might pop in. I don't know. You guys went 2 hours. I don't know if I got 2 hours on a Sunday, but I might pop in for a little bit and give some late picks as we pop in, betting props and stuff as we roll out before Sunday. I don't know though. Track sent me a thing, said 5 a.m. I can't get up at 5 a.m. dude.
I'll be headed to work, so I have a little time. To give them.
Oh, are you guys really doing 5 a.m.? Was that? I thought he was kidding.
Well, it was like we did 6 o'clock one morning, and I think we did another morning. At like, I think it's like maybe it was a little later on. I can't remember the time.
Hey Trax, I'll try, brother. That's way early for me, man. I usually still reading the notes under my eyes at that 6 a.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah, but it's just something. It's something we're trying, and we're gonna get that thing worked out consistently, hopefully. But hopefully we can help you guys out.
Yeah,
except
you know what?
Except the guys are playing against me.
You know, too, and I'll say we could throw out some fantasy picks, some smash plays and stuff really fast if we want to run through them. I had some bets put out. I didn't really hammer away too much on fantasy players. I got a couple for Thursday Night Football, but I didn't really hammer too much into fantasy stardom situms yet, because the day got kind of compressed. But you know, Keith.
If they're gonna do it on Sunday, you know, there's.
Tomorrow night, if you want to throw those out, you know.
Yeah, I'll bust these out really, really fast. I know there's a lot of injuries, and Kyle kind of touched on this. No Mixon, no Collins and no Diggs now. You got a bunch of makeshift guys, Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie, who I think Hutchinson and Mechie could still be serviceable players. But Joe Mixon, 6 TDs, man. Right now, his over under rushing, it's actually up to 111. We looked at it on the previous show. I'm still not minding it, but I kind of went over to the over 83.5 rushing. I think they're going to pound the ball a lot with him because they're going to have to slow this down. And another reason is because CJ Stroud just isn't as good in outdoor games. So I'm taking Stroud under 225. CJ Stroud's played 7 outdoor games in his career. He's averaged 198 passing yards, got a 59% completion percentage, and averaging 6 yards a pass. I'm not really liking him. On top of that, you know, you have no Diggs, no Nico, as we just touched on. The Jets are second in the league in defensive dropback success rate. Mm-hmm. And they've held their opponents to 161 passing yards a game. So all of that mixed together, I'm hammering CJ Stroud under the 225. I think on DK DraftKings it was at 226. Mm-hmm. The other pick that I had, this one's for Sunday, the Titans versus the Patriots. The Patriots have let up 11 touchdowns and 151 all-purpose yards to running backs. It's the worst in the league. Pollard's having a great season. He's averaging 4.5 a carry. The Titans are going to pound the ball. I like Tony Pollard anytime touchdown. Ladies and gentlemen, I will have plenty more of this come Sunday as we roll out. I'll put them up, and maybe I'll pop into the show if I'm up and say, hey, guys, here's some prop bets for you guys. Throw them down, baby. Let's go.
Well, I know for Thursday, man, because I haven't really looked at Sunday because so much changes in between now and Sunday. But as far as tomorrow goes, listen, all the fantasy users out there, listen, me personally, I can't tell you what to do, but I'm done with the Jets defense. And I know that sounds crazy, but they've let me down too many weeks in a row.
Thanks, Ghost.
They're very susceptible against the run. So look for Joe Mixon to touch the ball early and often for the parlayers out there. Joe Mixon's carries, I think they may be at 14 and a half or something like that. Take it. I'm rolling with, as much as I hate to say it, even though he's playing with another team, I think Aaron Rodgers has a good game against his defense tomorrow.
Hey, really fast, Keith S. Karan Amadaji hurt his calf. I don't know if you're at the beginning of the show. We touched on it a little bit. I don't think that he is going to be playing this weekend. They said they're not sure, so we'll have to wait on that. And as Trax is pointing out, if we do not have Braxton Jones, it might be Larry Borum at left tackle, unfortunately. So we'll have to all scoot and wait and see what happens Thursday and Friday. These injury reports are going to be very, very
they might end up playing Ryan Bates if he's available at right guard, and Matt Pryor will slide over to left tackle. I think that's probably their best bet. I don't think Larry Borum's even an option. As a matter of fact, Larry Borum is still on IR right now. They haven't even taken him off IR yet. So I think it's coming, but I don't think he's taking him out to start. I think he's their last ditch effort would be.
Kyle, that's a great point. I forgot about Matt Pryor. He would be probably the starting left tackle. He has experience there, and he's actually played all season.
Yeah, no, they want Ryan Bates on the field at some point, right? I mean, you traded a 6th-round pick. You better get him on the field at some point.
Ryan Bates, if he's activated, dude, he might be starting right guard. I mean,
and then Matt Pryor's got to move over. Yeah. Ultimately, I think that's what
I like Matt Pryor right where he is. I think he's more.
So do I, but I like him. But
I don't like Larry Borum out there.
That's the one that's I can't handle.
I can't, man. I can't handle that one.
No, I you know what? I don't like anything from Kansas State, so keep Larry Borum as far away from my quarterback as you possibly can, because anything from Kansas State sucks. So, on that note, boys, hey, it's a fantastic show, man. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Serendipity Ice Cream, El Bandito, Yankee, Chris Chelios's famous tequila now, Fantasy, Underdog Fantasy, Bridges Scoreboard, River Street Tavern, TC World of Wonders. Did I just say Bridges Scoreboard? I think I did.
Yeah.
All of our sponsors, please, guys, don't forget the hey, man, it's late. I've been podcasting for hours here.
Bridges Scoreboard always gets their love early and often, man. At the end of the show, you can go over the guys who forgot about it.
And don't forget the chicagotasteofhope.com. It's a great outfit. It's a great organization, and it's a great fundraiser that they're running. Help us all defeat cancer. It's a terrible disease. It's rooting too many families, taking too many loved ones away. So please, as we celebrate the passing of Walter Payton here this Friday, God rest his soul. He'll always be a legend among us. Anything that you guys want to get off your chest before we roll out of here for the evening, boys?
Bear down.
Bear down. Hey, I'm gonna give a shout out to the guys in the chat. Shout out to Trax, the man with the plan. Hey, shout out to you guys too, man. It's always a pleasure working with you guys. Had fun tonight. It was a lot to unload. I'm glad we had a chance to. And I'm pretty sure the viewers will and do as well. Catch me Monday and Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings. Yeah, Sunday mornings. Hopefully I can help you guys win some money. I'm gonna put my Cash App up. Y'all can skin a brother down.
Yeah, I'll take a look. I'll take a listen for sure, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, thanks to everybody in the chat, man. We really appreciate you and love you guys more than you know. We appreciate everyone coming out, listening to us talk sports, man. We really do. And again, we'll see you guys. Bear down. We all have the Bears winning. Until next week, Godspeed. God bless. Bear down.